Welcome to Enformed Insights, the official podcast of Enformion.com and your guide to the world of public records and data analysis. Join our host, Fred Pfeiffer, as he interviews industry experts and shares practical tips for navigating the future of digital information.
Welcome, everyone, to Enformed Insights. I'm your host, Fred Pfeiffer. Today we embark on a journey through the realm of online information services with our esteemed guest, Rob Miller, the founder and chairman of Enformion. Rob's illustrious career spans the evolution of the public records industry, from his beginnings as a professional investigator at Intel Corporation to his pivotal role in founding People Finders, a pioneering B2C data provider. With decades of experience and a wealth of knowledge under his belt, Rob is a beacon of expertise in an ever-evolving landscape. Join us as we delve into his insights, experiences, and the fascinating world he navigates. Rob, thanks so much for joining the Enformed Insights podcast. What motivated you to start your first business, and how has that motivation evolved over time?
I think like a lot of people, I was thrust upon me, actually. I don't think people go in thinking they're an entrepreneur, but so I was working as an investigator, a corporate investigator for Intel. And Intel is very famously known for laying off large swaths of people. I was one of those people in 1987 after working there almost 7 years. It was at a time when data, didn't really exist in the late 80s, and there was no online services per se. There was a handful. And I had this knowledge of courts and all the way that government agencies work. So I thought to myself I would be, I was a licensed investigator. So I went out and I acquired a mailing list for all the PIs in California, and I was an expert in data at that time for the stuff that existed. So that's what really thrust me into starting I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I see myself as a common sense thinker, and I needed a job, so I created this business. Initially a bulletin board service in the late 80s. That's how it all started and evolved from there. In the 90s, the internet came about and created my first website and started aggregating data. I was one of the first aggregators of lots of different data sets. That's really how it all started, Fred.
Are there any defining moments or experiences that shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
The thing that really stands out to me was when I got out of college, I really wanted to work for one of those 3-letter acronym agencies. I had a degree in criminal justice, and I thought of myself as working in a federal capacity. And I went through that, and then in that time, it was early 80s. I interviewed, I went through all the processes to get a job at those agencies, and I was told that I didn't speak Russian. And that was probably the best thing that happened to me. That's what led me to this. If I would have got one of those jobs, maybe I would have been a director today, but that didn't happen. So here I am.
So what habits and routines you credit for your productivity and success?
Well, I'm a very schedule-driven person. I think I know a little bit about you, Fred. So you love sports, and I've played sports in high school and college, wrestled in football and all that. So I credit a lot of my routine to my workouts, and I never miss a workout. I work out every day, 365 days a year. And that is really what I use to decompress, which, I run more than 10 companies today. So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress. So that's how I decompress.
How do you approach failure, and what lessons have you learned from your biggest setbacks?
Luckily for me, my successes have outweighed my failures. So it's allowed me to have less stress. And I think that that's the biggest killer for people who run their own businesses is they don't understand how to deal with failures. And that's the biggest killer of businesses and people who start businesses is they don't know how to deal with the failure. So luckily for us, we haven't had a lot of failures. I see them as something, a learning experience. You learn from them and you keep going.
What role has mentorship played in your entrepreneurial journey? And do you have any mentors who have significantly influenced you?
Yes. I think that typically you would think as a mentor, somebody you've worked with and learned, your work knowledge from. I think that's true, and I have some of those. But I have 3 people that really have been mentors to me throughout my life. Number one for me was my mother, who I would do anything for. She was a saint. And I had another friend who I went to high school with, college, who was a very successful business person as well. And his family was very successful. I came from a very broken family, 1 of 6, only one to graduate from college. I was the second youngest. My buddy Tim was my best friend growing up through high school, college. After he was my best man, I was his best man. It was more of a competition where we pushed each other. It was a very fun, competitive thing that we had. Actually, he just recently passed away this last January. He was an inspiration to me. I never thought I would go to college, and he really was the driving force for that. And then I have another person who I met about 25 years ago who is a mentor to me. We have another business in the background screening sector that I helped him with, and his son, and I still do that today. He's been a mentor to me in so many ways, not just in business, but as a father. I think he's the model father of, any person I've ever met. He would, if you looked up in the dictionary what a father should be, that's what he's the definition of a father who just loves his kids and does the right thing. So those are the three mentors. I had some mentors at Intel who led me through my early years, but those are the three mentors that I would really call out today.
Can you share a time when you had to make a tough decision as a leader, and how did you navigate it?
I got to go way back on that one. This is in one of my consumer businesses. 2010 or so, we lost our biggest revenue generator, which was about $1.5 million bottom line income a month. We had to retool and totally recreate the way we did business and how we generated our revenue. So I don't want to get into specifics, but that was the hardest decision I ever had to do. And we did it. We were able to redirect our funnels and create another model, which was a subscription model rather than a pay per search model. And that was an overnight thing that was due to legislative reasons. So we had to make a quick exit out of that funnel and redo our whole business model.
And so the impetus was a legislative change. So change suddenly occurs, and in a relatively short period of time, you were able to completely redo your business model.
Yeah, we were forced to, but it was very quick. Luckily for us, very profitable for a long time, and we had the resources to weather that storm.
What do you consider your greatest strength as an entrepreneur, and how do you leverage it in your business?
I hate to say I have lots of strengths, but I think the tenacity, right? I think my son would tell you that in his experience with me that I think he's used the words unbreakable at some point. It's true. I mean, it's you can't just wither under life or whatever, comes at you, right? I think that's it. So for me, it's the ability to maintain stability through really harsh times.
In a related question, how do you stay motivated and inspired during challenging times?
You know what I think is you always have to innovate. You always have to stay on the cutting edge. You always have to plant new seeds. And that's how I've been able to get through that in those times is I've always I don't have two things. I have five things that I'm trying to implement. So that's how I do it. I continually build and have on the roadmap new things, new projects that we're working on that keep me motivated through those times. So that's kind of been my mantra is to continually innovate. You don't feel like you're building something. You just don't feel fulfilled. That's how I am.
What advice would you give to a business owner who is struggling to stay resilient in a challenging time?
The toughest thing, I'll go back to what we talked about earlier, is young people probably in particular, starting business, don't have the experience to know that these things are going to happen to you and how you deal with them. So you have to stay resilient and keep moving forward and not give up. That's the main thing.
I can imagine as a business owner of so many successful businesses, there's got to be tremendous demands on your time. How do you prioritize opportunities and make decisions on where to focus your time and energy?
Well, that's changed a lot for me the last 5 years. I'm no longer the CEO, I'm the chairman. So I gave that responsibility to someone else. So for me, it's a little bit frustrating because I can't make the changes anymore, even if I want to. I mean, I could, but it's not. I don't feel like that's something that I would do. Once I empowered someone like our wonderful CEO, Amber, who's the greatest, I don't step on their toes. I think that giving them the opportunity to do what they do best, and you make recommendations, and then that's how it goes. So I stay out of the way.
Has there been any moments where you've doubted yourself or your vision for Enformion? And if so, how did you overcome those doubts?
Well, I think everyone doubts themselves. You'd be lying if you don't doubt yourself. But doubt is a funny word. I don't think I doubt myself regularly. I would say when you're used to a lot of success over the last 35 years, so when you don't see success coming quickly, it can be frustrating, but you just got to keep moving. With Enformion, we started basically not even 5 years ago at $3 million. And here we are today, we're going to do 30-ish million. So I think that's a pretty good track record.
How do you foster this culture of innovation and creativity within Enformion and your other companies?
I think you hire people hopefully that are a lot smarter than you, and I can tell you they are. We go get hopefully the brightest and the best qualified for the jobs. That's the best way to foster a good environment. That's what we do.
Looking back, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were just starting out as an entrepreneur?
Learn what I know today. That's what I would say. But unfortunately, you can't do that, right? So I think that if I would go give myself some experience, I would say, do not give up that power. And I'm not talking about Amber, I'm talking about other times in my life where I've given up a position where I knew that I would have been successful doing something, but I went a different direction because of someone else had advised me to do a certain thing. So I think that sticking to what you do best and understanding, and you probably are the best one to make that decision, sticking with that, that's what you should do. People say you should think about it and you should weigh every possibility, but I think that a lot of times causes more grief than it does good. So I think stick to your original beliefs. That's the biggest piece of advice I would give myself.
Could you provide an overview on what a typical day is for you?
I get up at 4 a.m. every day. I have some coffee and I spend some time with my cat, believe it or not. And I work out from about 6 o'clock till 7:30 in the morning every day. I come to the office at a little after 7 or whenever I'm done with my workout. I have our first meetings at 9 and more meetings after that. I go home after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I do a little bit more work, communicate with the people I need to communicate with, and that's my typical day.
The marketplace. Where are we going? We deal in consumer and business data. Where is the greatest opportunity and where is the greatest threat in this space?
Yeah, well, I think there's two major opportunities that we kind of are, as you know, Fred, we are kind of geared towards today, and that is we've had this humongous data store that we've built over the last 30 years that really is large as the top 3 providers in the United States. So we have a data store that rivals the big guys. We've been using that in a way that has not been to the fullest advantage of that data. So we went out and 2.5 years ago, we hired a C-level suite of people that are focused on building out AI and data analytics and all kinds of IDV verification tools that we can go after that very large sector in the business that we have not tapped. And also the second one, obviously, is data licensing, which we've never done. And again, as you know, I think that's a huge opportunity for us, especially with the legislative landscape out there now, as I think that we're all waiting for some rulings to come down from CFPB and that kind of thing in the next coming months or year. My personal opinion is that will probably strengthen the business. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I think that the CFPB is going to make us all CRAs or some kind of soft CRA and try to handcuff a lot of the stuff that we do. But at the same time, it's going to limit the players in the field because that's a hard thing to do. And to be able to be a CRA means you have to deal with customers and end users and correct things, and there's a whole lot of maintenance and cost involved in that. So to play that game, it's gonna take some time and a lot of resources to do. So I think that the values of the service are going to increase.
Rob, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Obviously, you've achieved great success in the business world, and it's always great to get insights from someone like you. I look forward to hopefully having you on the show again soon.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks for listening to Enformed Insights. To learn more or listen to another episode, please visit Enformion.com.